In this next article from the Daily Caller, exclusive in all caps, colon, Democratic director reverses position on illegal immigration after investigating for documentary. The stories of a homeless veteran, an illegal immigrant, a law enforcement officer killed by an illegal immigrant, and a dead 6-year-old girl make up quote unquote America's Forgotten, an upcoming documentary by Namrata Singha Gujral. Gujral expected the film to be pro illegal immigration and pro caravan until the director, a registered Democrat, but her position changed once she began to dig in after investigating Gujral plans to vote for President Donald Trump in the upcoming election. Yeah, actually, immigration was the thing after I joined the Walkaway campaign. Let's see, I'd helped start the 2016 Portland anti-Trump protest when I was a radical feminist. And then after the election, I realized that people that I had known for decades would turn on me if they thought I was a misogynist. So I started posting meninist jokes because it was just menism's like a joke. And then people thought I was a misogynist, and this internet row, the people were like trolling me, and it started to escalate. And then I got canceled from the Eugene tech scene and caused all these problems up at school from all the trolling. And so that was my first experience with getting canceled for posting meninist jokes. And after that period of time, I had deactivated my Facebook because the trolling was really bad. And I had started to learn about Red Pill and about how bad feminism is. And then after that period of time, I was still a Democrat. And through I had another experience where I got canceled from tech Twitter, where I was like, I had some leader of the NVIDIA Corporation, one of the high ups, had tweeted that she was happy that women are making more than men now. And then I tweeted something to the effect of, how does paying rich white women more money help black people out? And then a bunch of feminists pounced on me and started trolling me. And then this 9replies guy tweeted me, shared my post all over the internet, and then I got like 170,000 views on these tweets of like embarrassing me, and then it got me canceled from tech Twitter. I had gotten one invitation to speak at a conference internationally because I wrote the world's fastest number printing algorithm. But after that, I got canceled and people wouldn't talk to me anymore. So that was my second experience being canceled. And then around this period of time, I was still a Democrat, still holding on like, no, Democrats are still the ones who are trying to help me. And then wasn't until I realized that I didn't support immigration that I actually left the Democratic Party for good. I realized I have this cat that was a feral cat a long time ago. And she's a lot smarter than other cats. She's really pretty. She's like this mix of like a Siamese with this other jumping cat. And she's very smart. And this is kind of the same story with a lot of feral cats. If they've been out in the feral community, like they'll be a lot more dominant than the house cats. So house cats, they don't really have the best genes. They might be pretty to look at, but they're not their genes are not as good as these feral genes. The feral genes are a lot stronger. So immigration is a lot like having feral cats. So feral cats you have a bunch of house cats. We're kind of like domesticated house cats ourselves. And so if we, as domesticated house cats, if we just allow the feral cats from all over the place to come over and take over, what ends up happening? Got a bunch of stray cats everywhere. And then they knock up all our domesticated cats. And then if you have a Persian cat with really nice Persian fur, that Persian cat won't be a Persian cat anymore. And then if we all do this everywhere, then we won't have any Persian cats anymore. And so this shows you through the example that domesticated cats can be genetically inferior, but they can be very pretty and nice cats. And we don't want to get rid of them. But the feral cats they're like better in a lot of ways. They've had natural selection, cull their herd, and it makes them stronger. So immigration is a lot in the same way. If we allow too many immigrants into the United States, what ends up happening is they end up at the bottom of the social hierarchy in the big cities. And so they have to compete with each other for wages. And so this will depress their wages and it'll make it so that they become a permanent underclass. So this is what this film director had discovered. So he wasn't aware. I wasn't aware of this either. I did not know that. And I also never thought about the people that we're bringing into the country are going to get a dominant position over us because they've had more experience in poverty. They have a better work ethic. So when we bring in a whole bunch of people, immigrants, there is a high chance that we're going to end up at the bottom of the social hierarchy that after a few generations, because our Americans' GPAs aren't so good. Like we're not, the children of the rich kids are doing pretty good, but the children of the non-rich people aren't really doing so well with their GPAs. So just like with cats, if we bring in a lot of feral cats all over the place, and then we got stray cats taking over, and then the cats start to take over, and then our domesticated cats are no longer the same anymore. And like, yeah, okay, so they got better DNA, right? But what we know, these Persian cats and these Siamese cats and these Japanese Akita cats, they're gone. They're all gone. And it's because we didn't control the immigration from the feral cats. So I like that example because it can show you through cats that how the genes work. And immigration's a lot the same way. There's the globalist community. So there's tribalism where people will get in tribes, and then that a lot of times is healthy, but it can cause a lot of fighting. Tribalism in Africa causes a lot of terrorism, a lot of murders. Then there's the other option to tribalism is nationalism. This is where you people have a shared national identity, and nationalism is often associated with bad things because nationalism is different in every country. So nationalism in Nazi Germany was very bad. Nationalism in the USSR was bad. Nationalism in China was very bad. That's because the government was very oppressive. That was the culture they had. The United States, on the other hand, though, we freed the slaves. We fought the Nazis in World War II. We fought the communists in the Korean and Vietnam Wars. So our culture, our notion of our nation is the shining city on the hill. Our notion of nationalism is not the same as a far right government. Our notion of nationalism is inclusion. We have the Civil Rights Act, the one that was after the Civil War, and then the one in 1968. We So our legal system has inclusion, diversity, equal protection under the law, Bill of Rights protecting our negative rights from government interference, and so our form of nationalism is a good form of nationalism. Our form of nationalism is Thanksgiving, 4th of July, Christmas, Easter, even if you're not Christian. We just call them the holidays. And these traditions are traditions that our people hold. That if we bring in a flood in the place with, we currently are bringing in 1 million immigrants per year. When we bring in too many of these people, what we end up with is large congregations of very poor minorities in big cities. And if we don't restrict the immigration, then these people are a permanent underclass. And the people at the top, their money starts to pool into smaller groups of people. But the people at the bottom, they don't have the ability to rise up. The people at the top have a lot more than them. And so they don't get to live the American dream. They would have the same amount of money had they not left their home country. That's not why they left their home country. Like if we keep taking on, if we don't restrict immigration at some point in time, we're going to be the size of China. We can't just take on, they're like the 80 million some odd extra people that the developing world takes on or generates. Like we take on 1 million and they make 80 million every single year because they don't believe in contraception, because they believe in some spooky, weird spirit shit. Like they like hack up albinos there and mix up their bones with some tiger blood to make some sex potion for some Chinese dude. So we have to have some sort of reasonable immigration restriction. It has to be at a number. But a lot of these people on the left are just pushing for like open borders. Like this guy in this article was just pushing for open borders. Let's go into the article, see what exactly he said. The director set out to make the documentary favoring illegal immigration and migrant caravans, but after investigating, I soon realized the illegal immigration actually harmed everyone involved, the director told the Daily Caller Foundation. And one of the big reasons is because of them being the permanent underclass. Because it's like, okay, like you were making what, $2 or $3 an hour in your home country, maybe $1.50, and then you come up here, and then maybe you're making a little bit more, but the cost of living's a lot higher. And so like, okay, well, you just neglected that some of these other things were a lot cheaper down there. And then they got up here, and then they're stuck permanently in the underclass for some number of generations. And then when you bring on too many of them, they can't learn the 4th of July and Thanksgiving and how to do like a Christmas or a holiday dinner. These are like our cultures and traditions that we learn over our lifetime. We were born into them. And when we take on too many people at once, all of these things disappear. All of our traditions disappear. Our way of life disappears, and it's replaced with tribalism. It's replaced with a bunch of different people with different, their culture is from their country, which is a beautiful, wonderful culture, great people, but it's not going to be, we can't have a shared sense of a nation. We can't have American nationalism when we're packing in so many people that our culture becomes the culture of Mexico. Because 25% of these immigrants are coming from Mexico. 56% of illegal immigrants also are coming from Mexico. So these rules of the current immigration system are heavily biased towards Mexico. So if you're a Latino from South America, you're looking at this and you're going, wait a minute, there's only 450,000 Brazilians in America, and Brazil is absolutely huge. It's like 460 million people, and Mexico's got 150 million people. Why are 25% of the immigrants coming from Mexico? Because 2/3 of these immigrants are voting for Democrats. So Democrats they are thirsty for new voters. That's how they win their elections. They bring on new voters and then they switch independent voters. That's how politics has evolved to. It's the name of the game. So the new immigrant populations for these Democrat politicians are really just a new voting demographic for them. That's really all they look at it. Let me show you the immigration chart. I've already covered this once today in this show. Here's from the U.S. Census Bureau, document called A Changing Nation, Population Projections Under Alternative Immigration Scenarios. And on page 5, figure 1, you will see a chart that says U.S. population 1900 to 2016. Population projections from 2017 to 2060 by immigration scenario. On this chart, you will see it's about a straight line. And this green line here is the expected based on the policy, the mainline series. That's about 404 million people, 0.5. Then we have, if we have no immigration, our population shrinks. If we have moderate or low immigration, it's 376 million. Expected 404 million. This is by 2060, sorry. And then if it's a high immigration scenario, we can see that there's 446.9 million people. If you take the difference between 319.7, 446.9, that's 70 million people. So of that people, that's a large percentage of people. When I was born, our population has been shrinking. This is not just white people. This is black people. This is white people. Asians are almost only child in America, and Latinos are also their U.S. Latino population is shrinking too. So all of our populations are shrinking right now, and this is we can see this through this curve right here, that it goes down if we have no immigration. And then that means because people are having less than 2 children, and this is causing their population to go down. It's because of feminism. Feminism causing women to put off having a child till their 30s. And when they do so, they have on average 1 child. This is why the Asians are only child, because they're going too hard in the workplace and they're feminists. So we could see that there's a huge difference between these numbers. And so you have to pick one of these numbers. If you're like, okay, what this dude was starting this video trying to prove was that he was trying to prove this straight line, that we should do the one that's the high immigration scenario, where we don't enforce illegal immigration and we take on more immigrants. This one's the one that's expected. And so if we did that, we'd get about 40 million more people by the time I die. And that's about 10% more people than what we would have had otherwise. Right? Because 40 million of this is 10%. 404.5 million is 10% of that. So, and then some people will argue that we should have it here, somewhere in between, where we should do a citizens exchange program until we get global warming taken care of. Because whenever we take on all these extra people, even just 25 million people like this, these differences are about 25 million people. That 25 million people is a lot of pollution. If they're all living the American life and they're all sending money back home so that people in their home can live a better life, because a lot of immigrants come to the United States to send money home. So these things, people, they completely neglect these things. They're like trying to make a policy based off of what makes them feel good, and they don't want to sound racist. So they don't want anybody to call him a white supremacist or a white nationalist. So they say, oh, the only one here that we can have is the highest. Like, we have 4 or 5 different options here. We have no immigration, citizens exchange and then take some of the best and the brightest, somewhere around here, and then that would be like 50 million less people. But this is a conversation that you can't have with a lot of people because they say, oh, you're being a white nationalist. But these are like real issues. By the time I die, like my kids have to compete with these people. Our population is shrinking and our cultures are going to die with us. 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, all these things that we grew up with will be gone. And it's because we just took on too many people at once. And whenever we do this, what's the next step? Like, let's say we got this high immigration scenario up here. Let's say we had, by 2060, 446.9 million people living here. Almost 500 million people. What is the next state? What happens in this state? Let's say I was born in 1982. So if we go up here, we look, that's about right here. Our population's been shrinking since then, ever since feminism hit. That's about, we doubled the population, but our population shrunk. Doubled the population, but our population shrunk. And how are people supposed to feel about this other group of people? That's the thing people, like, how are they supposed to feel about the new group of people that's come and is a direct competitor for like they're changing the politics. Like it was a deeply red state, and then you moved in a bunch of immigrants from Latin America, and now or Mexico, and then now it's a blue state. So the people are not supposed to feel resentful of this. Now, obviously, they're going to feel resentful of this, whether or not you think that that's racist or not. They're going to feel that, and it's going to start causing conflicts for resources. It would be a complete unknown, this high immigration scenario where we have an extra 40 million people. 40 million people. They're like, we're talking illegal immigrants, included in that, with a large number of illegal immigrants included in that. They're working, selling drugs, working with the cartels. What is that? What is the culture of America? What is the climate at? Are there riots here? Like, are the riots here nothing compared to the riots over here? What about the drug use? Is the drug use going up like that too? Does this mean that like the white people end up, or the Americans are the Americans who are the ones that are here today? Are they going to be the same? Are they going to be on the top of the social pyramid when these new people come in? Or are they going to be at the bottom of the social pyramid? These are all unknowns. They're unknowns. Known unknowns is what they call it, as opposed to known unknowns, which actually, it sounds crazy at first, but it's actually a legitimate term. There are known knowns and there are known unknowns. But these are the known unknowns. We know there's going to be a power shift. There's going to be a class inequality from the new immigrants. And it's going to take multiple generations to overcome. So there's going to be a lot of poverty. They're going to bring up a lot of poor people from other countries and then bring them here. You can't just snap your fingers and make their kids instantly as competitive in school. It takes generations of people teaching their kids. So what does this look like? It's an unknown. That's a danger. In the business world, when we know there's all kinds of stuff that could be very harmful in here. It's a gamble. We usually don't go that route. We usually go one of these other routes. We wouldn't really go the one where we know, okay, this one is going to make it really, if we go this route, our competition is going to be really high and it's going to potentially cause us to suffer. We wouldn't go that route. We would go the route where there's less competition and I'm going to be more prosperous. I'm going to have more money because I have less people that I have to share it with. That would be the route that a normal person would go. So what was the story with this dude? Gujral, a registered Democrat, said the stories of a homeless veteran. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. I already read that. Quote, setting out to make the film, it was going to be a very pro illegal immigration, pro caravan. Sorry, that's another thing I'm rereading. Quote, it was a crossroads. Do I tell the truth or go ahead and make the film? Or do I walk away from the film because it doesn't agree with me or my industry? Gujral told DCNF, quote, I decided to stay the truthful to my craft of filmmaking and tell the story as I saw it without bias or preconceived notions. End quote. Gujral said the turning point for her was that when she went to India to search for the grandfather of a girl named Gurupret Kaur, who died in the Arizona desert while trying to illegally immigrate to the United States. Gujral, it's a hard name to pronounce. Gujral went to the same name and sat at the same marble floor where CNN reporter had previously conducted an interview with Gurupret's grandfather. She saw no signs of violence or poverty or persecution in the neighborhood. Gurupret's father lived in New York while his asylum case was pending, according to CNN. His lawyer said that he was from a religious minority and he was fleeing persecution. And quote, the lawyer said for her mother, said that she was also seeking asylum, CNN reported. Gujral told the DNF that CNN didn't ask about poverty, persecution, or violence in the neighborhood because none of them existed there. Why would a reporter whose job is to report on the truth go there and not even question it? Fake news CNN strikes again. CNN's report did not provide details regarding the claims that Gurupret's father faced religious persecution. Quote, there's something more here than meets the eye, and I'm reading in mainstream media. I just needed to follow up in the story more to find the truth for myself, Gujral told the DCNF. And so when they say I'm fleeing religious persecution, what that means is they want an asylum. That's what they're making it up. It's like a lie. That's what they're saying here. I think they did a poor job of saying that. Gujral said that when Rep. Rashida Tlaib, a Michigan Democrat, blamed the Trump administration for separating families at the border, she felt compassion for them. Now she wonders why the mother who brought her child through this harrowing experience really didn't need to leave the home where she was at because there was no poverty, persecution, or violence. Should be held accountable for putting her child through this. Yeah, I think it's child abuse to do that stuff. Really, they're just wanting more money. They want to get out of the situation they're at. They want to flee somewhere, so they pick, the best place that they could possibly go to, as opposed to a realistic place where it wouldn't be a burden for everybody. Everybody wants to come to the shining city on the hill. If we didn't have immigration laws, we'd be the size of China. Everybody wants it, and then we'd all be poor. Well, what the hell's the point of that? An illegal immigrant from Mexico, Maria Garcia, came to the U.S. to study. She said in the film, Maria said that she and her and other women and children were raped and abused by cartel members acting as coyotes, people who smuggle immigrants across the border. Maria said the cartel promoted a warped version of America where everyone was successful and rich. She said cartels sold multiple sold her multiple times until a canine at the border was alerted to the car. Border Patrol agents found her and another woman in the trunk. She said in the film, what is this video?
I want to see if I can document the extent of human suffering to where people are willing to risk their lives to seek refuge elsewhere. And I'm devastated with what I see.
Once she got to the U.S., she had worked a job for $1.50 an hour that would pay an American worker just over $6 an hour. She sent her wages back to her family. This is another big problem with immigration. We bring on all those people from the graph over here in this Census Bureau document. We bring in all of these people, all of these immigrants, and then what do? Take all of our shit and send it back to their home country. This is not good. This is absolutely not good. So first off, it's hurting them when they mass migrate here. They're getting taken advantage by these coyote human trafficking networks. They're getting lied to, sold a fake narrative so that they could get more humans to traffic. And then they come here and they extract the wealth out of our country and send it back home. Definitely not cool at all. On the other side of the quote, on the other side of the fence, illegal immigration is a bad idea, period. And quote, Goodral told the DCNF, she said, no one wins except for the coyotes, the corporations, and maybe the politicians. Goodral said the Americans need to do more to educate themselves about the issue. Quote, Americans need facts, end quotes, she told the DCNF. She adds that, quote, America's forgotten, end quote, helped her decide who to vote for in the upcoming election. Team Trump, baby. Woo, woo. Quote, a few months ago, I would absolutely have voted for Joe the Groper Biden, the one that gropes women in the White House and would walk around naked. Yeah, if you didn't know about that, he's actually a serial groper. I'm not making it up. He actually there was a Secret Service agent that had to be restrained by other agents from punching Joe Biden after he groped his girlfriend at a White House event. True story. Goodral faced criticism from her family, friends, and film industry for the documentary. She told the DCNF, quote, I put my career on the line for this picture, and that's okay. End quote, she told the DCNF. She said the film crew voluntarily withheld any credits due to the possible political backlash. Quote, I want to encourage other filmmakers to put out content that is more truthful to America, not just your worldview. And you're not going to get it from Hollywood, I can tell you that. Goodral told the DCNF, quote, if you don't support it, you're not going to see it, end quote. Goodral will produce a series called America First, as a real America will be forgotten, she told the DCNF. And so the reason why we're calling it America, why it's called America First, for one good example, they brought up Hollywood. Hollywood is a great example of when America comes second. A lot of Hollywood movies will make a lot more money in China than they will in America. So this is why they've been watering down a lot of movies, replacing formerly white male characters in a badass movie with minorities or a woman. And then the movie will bomb. Nobody wants to watch it. But they'll subsidize the movie in China. And in China, they pirate everything. Like, they don't pay for movies. So, like, how is this happening? The government is subsidizing this because they're insanely corrupt communists, and they use it to do cultural Marxism, where they kill off our culture by changing our movies, making them more watered down and docile. Once they get that pesky free speech out of us and that pesky Second Amendment, then we're a lot more docile, a lot more easy to work with. So this is a cyber warfare campaign using cultural Marxism. through movies. And this is where America is not coming first. The Chinese market comes first, and then our market comes not even second. This is also common too in the tech industry. There's a lot more money to be made in the Chinese market. But you have to play by Xi Jinping's rules. You can't criticize the Chinese Nazi Party. You can't criticize the insanely corrupt Chinese quote-unquote Communist Party boss that just reeks of corruption, because those people control everything. And they got these mobs of filthy, stinking rich Chinese people coming in and buying up everything they can. And they'll become our overlords. They're called globalists. They're people who got funny money from other countries, like Russian oligarchs or Chinese billionaires with Chinese Communist Party support. And their children are a lot more well-educated than us. They have more money. They have inside connections in Chinese Nazi Party-controlled companies. And they have a significant advantage over us on our home turf. And this is what's fundamentally dangerous about having unrestricted immigration, where we don't protect ourselves from the globalists. Like we have to set up some sort of reasonable protections, reasonable restrictions on immigration, and in order to make it so that our people don't get dominated by the globalists whenever they do this if they win, because what they want is they want unrestricted immigration where we don't enforce our because they want this. Under this number, this allows the most number of Chinese Communist Party members to either legally or illegally immigrate to the United States. So when you see propaganda pushed through the mainstream media outlets, you need to understand they have a lot of foreign influence. For instance, we've been reading a lot of news articles from the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail is located in the UK, and the Daily Mail also pushes a lot of pro-China articles. They're not as bad as NPR. NPR is straight up like mouth or repeating the Chinese Communist Party propaganda. They buy it all hook, and Newsweek. Newsweek is really bad about pushing pro-Chinese Communist Party propaganda. And so when they get this immigration scenario up here, the globalists win. This is the win for them, because this means they can funnel in millions of their people into the country, and they have access to cheap labor down at the bottom, the permanent underclasses, and they will be above us in the social hierarchy. So this automatically means they win at everything. So we have to have something underneath this green line, currently where it's at. We can't have it be right here. I think a lot of people would say, you know what, we're not bigots. We benefit from immigration, so maybe we'll go there. I think maybe some other people could argue, maybe let's just keep our population stable. A lot of people would say global warming is happening, so maybe we should completely cut it off until global warming is addressed. Any of these possibilities, none of them really make you a Nazi if you believe them. A lot of people think that if you believe in any sort of immigration restrictions, that makes you far right, that this is racist. But as you can see, immigration is a complex policy issue. It's not something that I can just explain to you in 5 minutes. This presentation took a long time, and it's a complicated issue. And either of these paths that you pick, any of them, it does not make you a bad person. It does not make you a racist. There's good reasons why you might say, I want the population to go down because of global warming, right? Is that racist? No, that's environmentalist. That's like a leftist belief, right? I don't really think it's leftist, but like this one seems reasonable to me, where we restrict immigration, like maybe take it down to 500,000. Maybe we could take it down to 100,000. I don't know. Maybe that's too low. Maybe we lose the best and the brightest. Do we really want to bring the best and the brightest? First off, we're bringing the best and the brightest. So what does that mean? They're going to be at the top. So they're going to be above us. We're going to be below them. So that means it's like bringing in wolves into the hen house. It's like, I got a hen house. I know I bring in this many hens in this batch. I'm going to have X wolves. It's going to be more than one. It's going to be maybe 10, 20 wolves. Are you going to bring those hens into the hen house? No. You got to get the wolves out of the hen house. You don't just, you put the hens in the hen house. You don't put the wolves in the hen house. That's what these people are advising that we do, is that we just unrestrict it and allow all the wolves to come into the hen house and go buck like a bull in the China store. I personally think, usually the best to go is a compromise of the above, where we aren't trying to demonize people as being racist or xenophobic because they pick one of these paths. Because the reality is it's very complicated. It's a real we have to put up with these people. These people will be here. They're coming. You can see on the graph they've been coming, but our people have been growing. Our families have historically been growing with them. So a lot of these were our people. So we were able to keep our culture and our tradition. But if our people are shrinking and then we add on an extra 100 million people or 70 million people here, that means that 4th of July, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, these things are no longer the same for generations going on because we brought in a bunch of new people from outside of the country that don't have the same culture and tradition. And instead, the American tradition is now their version of it when they appropriated our culture, which is not good. So with that, I think, in closing, you got to not be a bigot. You got to not destroy your environment, and you got to not give away your children's country to foreigners just because you don't want to sound racist. You got to be a good person and a smart person, not a dumbass, not a bigot. Because this is, this is politics. You gotta make people vote for you. How are you going to get people to vote for you? That's the problem. You have to be reasonable with this policy, but I would argue that maybe this is too high. I would argue that maybe our population by 2060 should be 350 million. Maybe it should be less than it is. Maybe we're at 330 right now. Maybe it should still be 330. I don't know. You should comment your opinion. What do you think? What is your take on this immigration policy? Are there any details that I left out? What would you like to see? How can I make this presentation better? I'm trying to make it good, trying to make it, as work for as many people as possible. But I do need feedback. So anyways, thank you for watching RSS commentary on October 19th. Now, this was the 17th. This is the longest one that I've done. This was like a 10 plus hour show on a lot of issues. If you want to find the videos, clips, you'll find them chopped up on YouTube. Here, I'll be uploading them over the next day. And then hopefully we'll be having from now on out just a 1 hour show every day, because this is just killer. Like, my legs hurt, my voice is croaky, and there's a lot of clips to rename and upload, so it's a lot of work. I'm looking for a volunteer editor. I don't have any money to pay you, but I think we could blow up if we had a little bit better quality, the live production, somebody else to bring up some web links and videos in real time. But until then, thank you for watching RSS Commentary. Again, I'm your host, Cale McCullough, the captain of the Kabuki Starship. You can find that at github.com/Kabuki Starship or at kabukistarship.com. And until next time, as I say every time, farewell, sayonara, aloha, peace be with you, and Godspeed in your journeys, friend.